So I've had a one-day build on my list of stuff to do for quite a while now, and I think it's finally time to get around to it. I have this little screen to the left of my steering wheel, and the mount for it is just on its last legs. So, enough filming, let's actually get to making this a little bit better. You know, it looked like it was about to fall off, but it actually turned out to be on there pretty good. Well, with that dusted off, time to break out the 3D scanner. I'll go into a little bit more about what that screen is at the end of the video. I don't really need to use 3D scanning spray for this. I find a jar of flour just applied with a little brush does decently well. Not as good as the 3D scanning spray, but it's a lot cheaper. Another benefit is little tracking dots can sometimes be annoying to get off, but if you put them on top of the flour, they hold on well enough that you can do a scan and it makes it a lot easier to pull them off afterwards. So with the flour applied and the dots dotted, the only thing left to do is do the scan. All in all, this was a pretty easy scan. All I really need to do is pick up the curvature of that surface that the new mount's going to go on, and that's about it. I'm leaving this in real time so you can see the speed of the scanning process. I wouldn't say it's slow, it's not like instant, but all in all, I mean, the thing doesn't really lose track. This is in the HD mode, which is the harder one to use as far as tracking and stuff is concerned. I found keeping it on medium detail does a pretty good job at tracking. I don't need high resolution for this, and keeping it in medium is perfectly accurate enough, and it just makes it a little bit easier to keep track of all the dots because I can keep the scanner a little bit further back. As far as cleanup goes, a little vacuum, a little wipe down with a rag, and it's as good as new. A little bit of cleanup time definitely outweighs the cost of 3D scanning spray in my opinion. Next up, we're going to move over to Starvision, which is the PC software for processing the scans done on the Einstar Vega. We're going to import the scan into a new workspace and then just do some basic data cleanup. If you want a more in-depth view of this software or the scanner, I have another video on my channel that's like 30-ish minutes going really deep into the details of all of the scanners and software and everything that you would want to know. This is more just focusing on a quick project. Well, the process scan looks fine, so we're going to go ahead and export that, and then we can throw that into CAD. Whoa, not so fast. We can't just be going and jumping into CAD yet. I gotta show you how this mount works. So the base plate has this little cup, and a ball fits into it, and then there's just a nut that screws on and gives some tension so it can no longer move around. The screen sits on the two pegs on the ball side, and the socket side is what clips onto the car. So yeah, pretty basic. With that understanding, now we can jump into CAD. Okay, so here's our final part. I initially filmed this live, but I started with the surface tab, and that was a whole rabbit hole that didn't work out. So we're doing this in retrospect. So let's go back to the beginning. Okay, the first thing we did is imported our mesh and just got it aligned to the coordinate system in Fusion 360. So front is front, left is left, pretty self-explanatory. Okay, next up we made two construction planes. These basically define the left and right side of the object that we're going to make. We can go to the mesh tab and choose create mesh section sketch. We can choose our mesh, and then we can choose our construction plane, and you'll see that we get an orange line showing where it intersects the mesh. We can then double click on the sketch on the left hand side, and under create there's now a new tool that's not normally there called fit curve to mesh section. If we click that, we can then choose 2 points on our curve, and then we can say that we want a spline, we want a circle, whatever we want, and Fusion will try its best to fit a normal like sketch tool line to the cross section that we created. So I went ahead and did it twice, once for each construction plane. If we turn off the mesh section, we can just see the blue line that's really what we want. And you can see that we have 2 lines, one for each side. Now that we have a proper line that Fusion knows what to do with, we can go ahead and create a new sketch, project that line, and then just add some depth. Initially I did this with a surface and then tried to like offset or thicken the surface and it just did not work. But this way works fine, and it normally works fine, so just do it this way, don't try to use surfaces. We can then go ahead and repeat this process a third time, but this time we're going to use a horizontal line in order to get the center line on that bit of the car trim. And once we have all those, then we can do a loft in order to create a solid body. Around this time I did another quick scan, this time trying to capture the coarse detail of like the thread and the geometry that we need for the other side of the mount to click into. You'll notice the scan isn't perfect, flour only gets you so far, but a big thing with 3D scanning is every part of the process in order to get a better scan takes a lot of time. The surface treatment, the tracking dots, the alignment of multiple scans in software, the data cleanup. Really, when you have a 3D scanner, you need to think about what you're trying to achieve and just aim for that. In this case, I just wanted the details of the threads, this little curve bit up top here, and a little bit of the detail on the inside. This scan won't win any awards, but it has all the features I need. We're just going to use this scan for validation. I got that in and positioned where it should be, and now we can move on to the rest of our design. I started by making a little cylinder, and then we went ahead and added some threads to it. I measured the threads on the OEM part with some calipers, and I just kind of guessed, and yeah, 18mm, 1.5mm pitch. It just happened to work out, but the great thing with having a 3D scanner is we can verify that. If I zoom in and just turn the 3D scan on and off, you can see that the threads line up. Yeah, they're offset by half a thread. The peak of this thread is in the valley of this thread. That's fine. It shows us that we have the right thread pitch. Thank you 3D Scanner for making that really easy without me having to print like 10 different threads and try to figure out which one was the correct one. Okay, so moving on, we can see that on the actual part, the threads only go about halfway up. So the next thing to do was to basically take the threads I just made and chop them in half. Now it's time to work on those curved features. And the way I did this is I made 2 construction planes, both of them being tangent to this inside circle on the cylinder that I made. Once I had those 2 construction planes, I could use those to make a third construction plane that's a mid-plane. We can hide the original 2 because the mid-plane is all we need. Around this time, I also realized that this bottom surface is still curved, and that's going to make working inside of there a lot harder. So I just did an extrude to extrude it down really far so it would be flat all the way across the bottom, and then I did another extrude, bringing it back up to the correct height. We can then make a sketch on that construction plane. I'm going to just chop our object in half so we can see what we're doing a little bit better. First, let's start with up top. There's 2 curves. This outer curve extends to the distance of the inside groove of the thread. Hopefully that makes sense. If I turn off this construction plane, I can highlight this right here and I can look at the properties of it. There's the diameter right there. So knowing that, we know how far out we can make this curve without this curve interfering with the threads. If we had it too far out, then the nut wouldn't go on. The rest of it I just kind of eyeballed. I eyeballed the curve and I eyeballed the thickness to be about 1 millimeter. Once we have a curve, we can go ahead and do a revolve, and that gives us the feature that we were looking for. Next, let's move down to the bottom. Again, I just eyeballed this. I measured the ball on the part of the mount that clips into this, and I just assumed that this bottom bit was going to be pretty much the diameter of the ball. So I made that hemisphere at the bottom, and then I just went ahead and did a revolve, giving us a nice feature like so. We can then look at our 3D scan to validate that this looks pretty close to what we scanned, and yeah, it's a little bit large, but again, it's good enough. There's also this little shallow bit at the bottom that was flat in our scan. That is actually there on the actual model, but I figured that's just left over from the manufacturing. They're not using 3D printing for this, so they probably needed something to pop the, extruder. Injection molding. How the hell does it work? I have no idea. I omitted that and works out just fine. The next thing we did is we cut those slots into the object. That's just there on the original scan. You can see the holes right there on the side. And the last thing to do is cut a gap in the bottom of this object so that way the VHB tape has a little bit of a recess. VHB has quite a bit of thickness, so if you just stick some tape on there, it would kind of look like it's floating and not contoured to the bodywork of the car. So in order to do that, I made a sketch. Doesn't really matter where. I think I just used one of the origin planes. I projected this rectangle, picked up the center point, and then just kind of made another smaller rectangle inside. I then went ahead and did an extrude to cut that pocket. If you're not familiar with this feature in Fusion 360, it's really useful. You can go in here and on the start, instead of being profile plane, you can choose object. And basically you can choose any object, any face, and it will use that face as the start point for the extrude. So in this case, this is curved, so it will use that curved face as a start point, and you end up with a pocket that fits to a curved surface, and I don't know, looks really nice. At this point, our part's pretty much finished, but we can make it look a little bit better by adding some fillets and chamfers, and that's it. That's our final object. The 3D print just finished, so let's move to the other room, add some tape to it, and then go throw it in the car. Okay, so the first 3D print that I did was actually in PLA, and that was just to make sure that everything was good. I have my settings tuned very well for PLA, but I want to print this in PETG because it's going to be in my car, and PLA can droop in summertime temperatures. Testing the fit though, it feels really good. It has the same positive little click that the OEM part did, and screwing down the little nut, it actually tightens up more than the OEM part did, so in all, I'd say it's an upgrade. Now we have the PETG part, a little bit of VHB tape, just going to use a little knife to trim off the little extra, something about not cutting towards your thumb, whatever. Cool. Finished part, let's go throw it on the car. If you're not familiar with VHB tape, it should definitely be in your maker arsenal. It's the same stuff that they use to mount your rear view mirror onto your windscreen, and they even use it to put siding on skyscrapers just because of like temperature fluctuations. Tape works better than fasteners. Crazy stuff. It's like proper permanent tape. Just in case you didn't know what the whole point of this project was, this is the Cobb access port. It basically lets me tune stuff on my ECU as well as see more engine stats than what your car normally lets you see. The main reason I have it is to remove rev hang. I'm not trying to win any races or anything like that, but I drive a stick and rev hang's annoying, and this fixes it. And now I fixed the mount, so ta-da! Build done. If this build makes you want a 3D scanner, well, I got links in the description, both to a more in-depth review video and to a discount link that will get you $50 off if you happen to order one. Well, thanks for watching, and happy making.